Good evening, everyone, or morning or afternoon, wherever you are. This is my second video for today, June 18th, 2025. Just a few more news stories to share with you. We're going to start with something on X. Play this for you.
Escalations continue to rise in the Middle East. It is time for friends and family of active duty military to take action. Now is the time to reach out to your family members' chain of command all the way to the top at the Pentagon and tell them no war with Iran. Let them know you do not want your family member being sent to die for Israel. For 20 months, we have witnessed the genocide of the Palestinian people by the Israeli occupation. American troops, American people do not want to go to war with Iran. This is your way to ensure the safety of your family member or your friend that is active duty military to ensure they do not get deployed on behalf of Israel. Units across America have Facebook, X, and Instagram social media accounts. It is our duty as American citizens to flood the comment section and ensure that they understand, that the leadership understands that we do not want American troops to be deployed to die on behalf of Israel. This is the moment where our country must unite to protect its citizens from being dragged into a war on behalf of a genocidal country. Israel is not our ally.
She is. Well, this was amazing to see. She is definitely fired up about this, and that's great to see military members speaking up against going into a battle that is not about defending our country, which is what our military is supposed to be for. So, I saw this today, just reminded me because I had spoken on something before that, which was the colonel who was fired from the Pentagon. He was in the Joint Chiefs of Staff because he spoke out against Israel on social media, and then this came up. So I wanted to share with you up on for this because, as I said, it's good to see military is speaking out. You know, usually the military isn't allowed to say anything about the commander-in-chief, or when they're in the military, they have to wait until they're retired. That's always been the case. But there are circumstances, rare ones, where they will speak out if something is really, really wrong. You know, that's not right to do. So I was happy to see that. Just wanted to share that with you. Now, regarding her, this thing about, as I said earlier today, Trump has been flip-flopping, not really flip-flopping, but being ambiguous about what he's going to do. And earlier today I heard that he went into a meeting with his Security Council, National Security Council, and Tulsi Gabbard was there. I think they had a little bit of an argument, but Ray McGovern on X was saying that she should resign, which is what Scott Ritter said the other day. But then McGovern said, well, maybe it'd be better if she stays in there because they need somebody like her in there. In any case, after learning about that, I saw a post on Al Jazeera just an hour ago that said, U.S. preparing for possible strike on Iran in coming days. Now, he was being ambiguous. Trump was being ambiguous. He was saying, after he had his meeting with his National Security Council, he did say that it would take him 24 to 48 hours to decide. The problem is, as I said, well, we'll read this. As Trump keeps the world guessing about U.S. military intervention in Israel's attacks against Iran, more reports are emerging of preparations in Washington, D.C. for such action. Bloomberg News, citing anonymous sources, is reporting that senior U.S. officials are preparing for the possibility of a strike on Iran in the coming days. It says the development is a sign that Washington is assembling the infrastructure to directly enter a conflict with Tehran. Washington. Now, that perhaps is the people in the government, not necessarily referring to the Trump administration or Trump himself, but, this is buzzing around everywhere because there's too many people that have wanted this for decades. In any case, the people said the situation is still evolving and could change, with some of them pointing to potential plans for a weekend strike. Top leaders at a handful of federal agencies have also begun getting ready for an attack, one person said. So, that is not too surprising, really, even though, as I said, Trump is like, well, I'm thinking about it, and who knows, he may not decide not to, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's the most likely outcome. And regarding this, I'm going to go into, everybody is saying, oh, we got to go to war. We got to stop Iran from the nuclear, they've got a nuclear bomb. We've got to stop them. They got a nuke. Well, the Cradle reports today that the IAEA chief confirms agency has no proof Iran building nuclear bomb. So, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, said on 17 June that there's no proof that Iran has been working toward the development of a nuclear weapon. And they've been at the behest of Israel and America. They haven't been very neutral on this matter. However, he says it here, so that's quite an interesting thing to come up, that they're being honest here. Kind of a surprise. And then I have two other stories. This one was from a couple days ago, or yesterday. Israelis flee Iranian strikes on low-profile yacht trips to Cyprus. So a lot of them are trying to escape to Cyprus from the bombings and missile attacks, of course. I mean, that's common sense. If I was in a war zone, I'd want to get out too. Hundreds of Israelis are scrambling to flee Israel via boats to Cyprus, an Israeli newspaper reported on 17 June, as Iranian missile strikes intensify and Tel Aviv vows to escalate its brutal war against the Islamic Republic. So the marina in Herzliya, has recently taken on the atmosphere of a makeshift terminal. Starting at 7 in the morning, people begin to arrive, mostly alone, some in couples, a few with families, dragging trolleys and scanning the docks for the yacht scheduled to carry them to Cyprus, and from there to anywhere but here, Haaretz reported. And, according to Facebook groups, hundreds of Israelis are attempting to leave in this way. In that place and other marinas such as Haifa and Ashkelon, Owners of small yachts have been organizing trips with groups of up to 10 passengers. So there are at least 100 people that have prepared to set sail. So some do not live in Israel, while others are meeting up with family members abroad. Only a few admit they are fleeing the threat of Iranian missile attacks. None are willing to speak openly, and almost all say they're leaving because they have no choice. "We're tired of the missiles," an Israeli preparing to set sail is quoted as saying. Well, again, can you blame them? I wouldn't want to be around that either. Now, about 150,000 Israelis are stranded abroad due to Tel Aviv's war on Iran and the shutdown of all flights caused by Iranian retaliatory missile strikes against Israel. So they want to bring back they have launched this repatriation plan. Of course, they want to bring back the Israelis because I'll tell you, there was a report that same day or the day before that said the IDF was not allowing the Israelis that are in Israel to leave. They as I said, they shut down any way of getting out. But they're not allowing a lot of Israelis to go and flee the country. And why do you think that is? Well, because they may not come back. And as Mahmoud said on his channel, and you know what that means, if they don't come back, there isn't, and if most of them flee the country, you don't really have the state of Israel anymore. And that is not permitted. So, and the last thing I'm going to share is this interesting thing from RT. Oh, and Israel is launching new strikes on Tehran right now, and has been for the past, probably hour or so. But Israel to run out of air defense missiles soon, says Washington Post. Israel's air defenses can intercept Iranian ballistic missiles at its current pace for less than 2 more weeks without significant additional supplies from the U.S. or its direct involvement. So they only have less than 2 weeks, unless they have additional supplies from the U.S. or its direct involvement. Tehran has launched multiple waves of drones and missiles at Israel since the Jewish state struck Iran last Friday, framing the attack as a preemptive move to stop the Islamic Republic from developing a nuclear bomb. U.S. forces are reportedly assisting Israel in intercepting incoming projectiles. President Trump has said that the U.S. may join Israel's bombing campaign, but hasn't made a final decision. Iran has warned the U.S. that any involvement would result in irreparable. Yes, we know. I've already reported on that, or told you about all that. Intercepting Iranian missiles and drones has been costly for West Jerusalem, the Washington Post wrote. On Tuesday, the cost of missile defense could be running as high as $285 million per night. Whew, good grief. That's crazy. Given the current pace of Iranian attacks, Israel can only maintain its current level of air defense for 10 to 12 more days without resupplies from the U.S. or even deeper involvement by American forces. West Jerusalem may need to begin rationing its air defense missiles as early as the latter part of this week. They will need to select what they want to intercept, the newspaper cited the anonymous source as saying. The system is already overwhelmed. Israel has a layered air defense shield with multiple systems, but relies on the Arrow system to shoot down heavy Iranian ballistic missiles. While efficient against rockets fired by Hamas, Israel's famed Iron Dome is ineffective against Iran's heavier ballistic missiles. Very interesting. Let's see. So this former senior Pentagon advisor Dan Caldwell, he, according to him, West Jerusalem's Arrow and David's sling units likely used up many of its interceptors to counter attacks from the Houthis in Iran earlier this year, while noting that these missiles are expensive and take a long time to produce. It is therefore likely that Israel and the U.S. are going to have to start rationing their interceptors soon, if they haven't already. So, that's something to know. We're not too surprised because, as you heard Colonel Wilkerson earlier, we are going to be out of, if the Americans get into this war that will last 2 weeks, we don't have anything else. Apparently, we're short on weapons and things like that as well because, well, what were we doing the past 2-3 years? Giving all our weapons to Ukraine. We're too busy selling our weapons for money. We don't even realize that since we are supposedly the Department of Defense, we actually have to have a defense with our own weapons to protect our own cities, our own borders, our own coast, our own country. So we shall see what happens with all this. But I wanted to give you some information there. Things are strange right now. I know Iran put out introduced a new missile today, or maybe it was day or night. I think it's morning there, or early afternoon or something in Iran, but overnight they had introduced some kind of interesting missile that looks very odd. I'll try to bring that up in another video, maybe tomorrow, and share that. I'll put a note about it because it was quite fascinating. In any case, thanks so much for watching. Please follow my channel on Rumble, subscribe to my channel on YouTube, like my videos if you like them, share comments below my video if you have anything to add or your thoughts on it. Again, thanks so much for your support. I hope you have a blessed evening.